Hello, my dear friends. How are you doing? Hope you are having an amazing day and not having to deal with drama. Ready for new stories I have for you today? Let's go to the first one. And don't forget to listen to the end of the story, guys, to hear my insights. Enjoy the stories, and don't forget to like and subscribe. And of course, don't forget to leave a comment. I, 28 female, have always felt like the odd one out in my family. A feeling that started long before the wedding drama that ultimately blew everything apart. To give you the full picture, let me go back to where it all began. My parents divorced when I was 8 years old. They didn't have a messy breakup. In fact, they claimed they simply grew apart after years of trying to make things work. I split my time between two households, an arrangement that worked well for me as a child because I got to spend equal time with both parents. When my mother remarried, it was like a breath of fresh air. My stepfather, Mark, treated me like his own daughter from the very beginning. He's patient, kind, and genuinely interested in my life. He always made me feel supported and loved. To this day, I credit Mark with teaching me the value of kindness and resilience. But my father's second marriage, well, that's an entirely different story. My father met Karen when I was 10. At first, she seemed nice enough. She'd bring me small gifts or talk to me about school, and I thought she genuinely cared. But as the months turned into years, her true colors began to show. Karen is, in no uncertain terms, a jealous, manipulative, and malicious woman. She's the type of person who thrives on control and power dynamics. If she wasn't the center of attention, she'd sulk or find a way to make someone else's joy about her. Karen came with a daughter, Anna, who was 7 at the time. Anna was bubbly, cute, and, as Karen would often remind everyone, needed a little extra love, because her biological father wasn't in the picture. At first, I thought it was great that Anna and I would be like sisters. But it soon became apparent that Karen wanted Anna to have everything, even if it came at my expense. My father, perhaps out of guilt or infatuation, went along with everything Karen wanted. While my mother's house was a sanctuary of love and understanding, my father's house became a place of constant comparison and favoritism. Karen's manipulation worked wonders on my father, who started treating Anna like his own flesh and blood. Anna's needs and wishes always came before mine. By the time I reached high school, the favoritism was blatant. My father paid for Anna's private lessons, expensive hobbies, and extravagant birthday parties. Meanwhile, I was working part-time jobs to cover my school supplies, clothes, and extracurricular activities. Anytime I voiced my feelings about the unfairness, I was told he was paying my mother enough child support to cover all the expenses, and that I have a well-off stepfather. Even milestones in my life were overshadowed by Anna. When I graduated high school with honors, my father didn't attend the ceremony because Anna wasn't feeling well and needed her daddy. My acceptance into a prestigious university on a partial scholarship was met with a lukewarm good job, while Anna's every mediocre achievement was celebrated with dinners, gifts, and parties. Karen's hostility towards me wasn't always overt. She preferred subtle digs and manipulative tactics. For example, she'd plan family outings when she knew I couldn't attend due to school or work. She'd make passive-aggressive comments about how selfish I was for not helping Anna more, despite the fact that I was barely scraping by myself. She even tried to guilt-trip me into turning down opportunities, claiming that my success would make Anna feel inadequate. My stepmother's antics reached new heights when I graduated college. Unlike Anna, who had her tuition fully funded by my father, I worked multiple jobs to make it through school. When I graduated, Karen's only comment was, "Well, you didn't need any help, did you? That's good for Anna to see." Fast forward to a few months ago. My father and Karen decided to finally tie the knot after 15 years together. Despite everything, I decided to support them. I even offered to pay for their wedding decor and catering as a gift. It was a significant expense, but I thought it would be worth it to show that I cared, even if they had never done the same for me. I bought myself a stunning dress for the occasion, one that made me feel confident and elegant. A week before the wedding, Karen came with Anna to discuss wedding decorations. Anna went to the bathroom and saw the dress I bought for the wedding in my bedroom and immediately gushed about how beautiful it was. Then she said, "You know, this would look so much better on me. You're taller and I'm shorter, so this style suits me more." I thought she was joking, but she wasn't. "Seriously," she continued, "you make good money. You could just buy another dress, right? I don't have money to buy something like that." When I refused, Karen stepped in trying to use her manipulations, saying I can afford another even nicer dress while the one I already bought would fit Anna much better. I said sorry, but I really like the dress, and I will be wearing it for the wedding. The next day, my father called, demanding I give Anna the dress. They argued that Anna was younger and deserved to look her best, while I could easily afford another outfit. When I refused again, he accused me of being selfish and ungrateful for everything they had done for me. 2 days before the wedding, I received a text from my father saying I was no longer welcome. They claimed my selfish behavior had no place on their special day. I was hurt, but decided to take a step back. Then I remembered something. My wedding gift, the decor and catering, hadn't been fully paid for yet. Since I was no longer invited, I called the vendors and canceled everything. The deposits were non-refundable, so my father and Karen were left scrambling. The day of the wedding was, by all accounts, a disaster. There were no decorations, and the guests were served plain sandwiches and chips. Many people left early, and Anna apparently spent most of the reception complaining about how embarrassing it all was, and how it was all my fault and what a horrible human being I am. My father called me the next day, furious. He accused me of ruining their wedding and humiliating them. I calmly reminded him that I was only following their wishes. They didn't want me there, so why should I pay for it? He hung up on me, but not before disowning me. A week later, I received a letter from his lawyer stating that I had been officially disinherited. Everything was left to Anna. Some of my friends think I went too far by canceling the wedding arrangements, while others believe my father and Karen got what they deserved. I'm torn between feeling justified and wondering if I let my anger cloud my judgment. This wasn't just about a dress or the wedding itself. It was years of being overlooked and undervalued. For once, I put myself first, and while it cost me my relationship with my father, I'm finally free from the toxic dynamic that defined my childhood. So, Reddit, am I the a-hole for canceling the decor and catering? First of all, OP generously offered to pay for their wedding decor and catering, a gift that most people wouldn't even think to give. The audacity to demand OP hand over her dress to Anna, as though OP is obligated to cater to her whims, is mind-boggling. OP didn't ruin their wedding. They ruined it themselves by pushing OP out of their lives and taking OP for granted. Actions have consequences, and they learned that the hard way. Good for OP for standing her ground, prioritizing herself for once, and teaching OP's father and stepmother a lesson. And now let's hear the community's opinion. Definitely not the a-hole. Your father and Karen have been using you as a backup plan for years, while pouring all their attention and resources into Anna. You weren't invited to the wedding, so why on earth would you pay for it? You were more than generous to offer it in the first place, but they burned that bridge with their entitlement and favoritism. You're better off without their toxicity. It's sad that it came to this, but you deserve peace and respect. Absolutely not the a-hole. They kicked you out of the wedding and still expected you to foot the bill? That's absurd. Also, Karen and Anna's behavior is unbelievably entitled. Who demands someone else's dress because they think they'd look better in it? The fact that your father took their side just shows how deep his favoritism runs. You did what you needed to protect yourself emotionally and financially. They got exactly what they deserved. Not the a-hole. Canceling the wedding arrangements wasn't petty. It was fair. Why should you pay for a wedding you were disinvited from? Your father and Karen have been treating you like a doormat for years, and you finally stood up for yourself. As for Anna, she sounds spoiled beyond belief, and Karen has enabled her every step of the way. You didn't ruin their wedding. They did that by alienating you. Good for you for setting boundaries. Stay strong. You deserve so much better. My fiance had his daughter, my stepdaughter, unexpectedly shortly before we met. Despite being a month apart, he and his daughter's mother could not have more different financial situations. On paper, she is wildly successful. Graduated college with no student loans, stable career, owns her own house outright in a great area, and even has ample money in savings. My fiancé, on the other hand, is buried in student debt, and there's no way he'll ever own a home. My in-laws hate the situation with his daughter. They hate that we live so far away, but more than that, they're embarrassed that we aren't anywhere near as established as her mother is when we're the same age. We're currently stuck where we are, so we can't have that much custody right now, and they understand that. They never fail to bring up how much more stable her mother is, and always have snide comments about everything she's doing that we couldn't even dream of helping with. The truth about her is that she's only financially stable because she's a ducking thief. She stole her parents' estate using a loophole to contest the will, even though she knew they wanted her to get nothing, and then proceeded to sell their house for $400K more than it was worth by straight-up committing fraud. The poor family that bought the house even tried to sue her, but lost due to technicalities. I'm sorry if I'm not willing to sympathize with and praise a woman that used her bad childhood to justify becoming a monster. Okay, fine, she broke generational cycles and only had a child once she was stable. But she only got there by lying, cheating, and stealing until she took absolutely everything she felt she deserved, no matter what it took or who she had to hurt. Yes, she did have a terrible childhood, but she's not a good person now. My fiance only wants to keep the peace with his parents, so he never says anything. But I'm tired of them making it seem like he's a deadbeat just because he doesn't have as much money as Miss Bernadette Madoff. When they came to visit a month ago, I printed out all of the court records and laid them out on the table so they would finally have to face the truth. Now they're mad at me for being petty and jealous, and my fiance is mad because it got him uninvited for Christmas. Am I the a-hole? I just wanted them to lose their rose-colored glasses about her. So how do you know the truth about her success? It's quite easy to say who shouldn't get anything, so I doubt a loophole changed anything. Also, you will have to elaborate a whole lot more on committing fraud for $400K. A fraud of that size would almost guarantee that she would get jailed. OP is clearly unhinged. The parents didn't remove their daughter from the will, so that is entirely on them. If court decided she was entitled to that money, how was she stealing anything? And the homebuyers foolishly bought a house during the pandemic without an inspection, like many others did during the housing rush. That is on them. How is that fraud? There's no evidence that she knew about any issues either. And OP is comparing all of this to Bertie Madoff? Are you kidding me with this nonsense? OP, you're the a-hole. You're obsessively jealous of that woman, and that's what this is really about. There's a lot more to this than what you either know or are saying. She stole her family's estate by contesting the will? No lawyer would have taken on a probate case if it was illegal, because they wouldn't get paid by someone without inheritance rights. The judge awarded her the estate. She was the rightful heir. End of story. You're the a-hole. Get over your envy and jealousy. It will only destroy your own life. Your in-laws are crappy to their son. That's what you are most angry about. Instead of addressing that, you went through a whole lot of effort to take down another woman's life. It makes you petty in your husband and in-laws' eyes. You should have discussed this with him instead of acting alone. Now he feels separated from you instead of in a partnership. He needs your support more than you need to fight your in-laws. Focus on your relationship more than the ex. I'm 23 female. I have a daughter, age 6, and 2 siblings, who are 16 male and 15 female. Recently, I've needed a babysitter. My brother said he'd babysit her for £30 an hour. This seemed reasonable, so I agreed. Every time it happens, I drop my daughter off at my parents' house. My brother takes her off me. I give him the cash and tells me he's got this. I can go, so I do. Then I come by later to pick her up, and again my brother is there, handing her off, telling me how much fun they had. About a week ago, I asked him to babysit, but my plans got canceled last minute, so shortly after dropping my daughter off, I was driving back. I got back, and my daughter was with my sister watching TV. I asked where my brother is, as he's meant to be watching my daughter, and my sister said he's gone out and she's meant to be watching my daughter. I asked her what she means, and she said, "What do you mean, what do I mean? You've been paying me £10 an hour to watch her for weeks now." I said that I've been paying our brother £30 an hour to watch her, and that's when we realized he's told her that I'd offered £10 an hour to babysit. Then he's given her £10 per hour and pocketed the extra money. My sister confirmed that every time he told me he was babysitting, he was going out or just sat in his room, and she's been watching my daughter this whole time, but also said that he does make an appearance. If like I leave my daughter there for 3 hours, then he'll be there for 30 minutes of it at the beginning and end, an hour total, presumably to make sure he's there for pickup and drop-off. I then offered her £30 an hour directly for watching my niece going forward, which she accepted, and told my brother he was a ducking idiot for thinking we wouldn't realize this eventually. I added up the hours my brother lied about and calculated 23 hours total, meaning he pocketed £460 of my money while conning our sister into doing it all for half that price. I've said he now owes our sister that money, and I expect it paid in full, with receipts, or he's not coming on the family holiday next year, which I'm paying for. He says that's unfair. He's already spent the money and that I needed a babysitter. He provided one, so there should be no issue here. And when I reminded him that I had paid for him to do it, he said some BS about this is how capitalism works, and then said that he'd wanted to go to the place we picked out for years, and it was his idea to go, which it was, by the way. So it wasn't fair of me to not let him come. Mama said that this is a family holiday. All the family needs to be there, and that while she appreciated me paying for the holiday, I'm not the mom here. I can't ground my brother like that. I asked my boyfriend what he thought, and he agreed it was a bit of a jerk move, but he'd do the same. I think I might be the a-hole because Mom's right in saying that I'm not his mother. I can't ground him, and my sister has said she doesn't really want or need the money back. So I'm the only person putting my foot down about this. Plus, I feel like a jerk for holding money over his head in two ways. The money he owes our sister, and the money I'm putting into the family holiday. There's also the fact that he doesn't have a job, so now he has a deadline to find one and put aside nearly 500 pounds. Am I the a-hole? Info. Due to various circumstances surrounding my daughter, I can't hire just anyone to babysit her. A professional service wants 25 plus pounds per hour, due to everything babysitting my daughter requires. So 30 pounds an hour felt reasonable for someone who was local, who my daughter trusted, who has already proven himself capable of looking after my daughter properly. Not the a-hole. He needs to pay back the money. No, you aren't his mom, but you are the host and you get to choose your guests. If your mom doesn't like it, she can stay home with your brother and keep him company. Not the a-hole. This is the epitome of saying, play stupid games, win stupid prizes. I love his logic on how this is how capitalism works. It's ironic because how capitalism actually worked here was that he was fired and a better candidate took his position. Not the a-hole. He's being a massive hypocrite whining about how unfair this is while he's been scamming you and your sister both. I'd have done the same and probably been a lot harsher about it personally. Since you're paying, I think it's well within your right to give him that ultimatum. Back in October, I decided to buy myself a new car, a used 2020 Jeep Compass. First vehicle I've gotten myself in over a decade. My nephew began college over the summer, but had no car for transportation, and I was only going to get between $500 and $1,000 for it for trade-in or sell anyways. So I decided to be a cool uncle and give it to him for free as his first vehicle. It was a 2008 Dodge and in pretty good shape. Drove well, had some problems such as the oil pan leaking, and had some other minor work. So I brought it up with my brother, his father of course, that I wanted to give my nephew my old car as a gift for free. I wasn't asking for any money from them, but made it clear that they would have to pay for anything pertaining to the transfer to them and update the inspection or anything else that needed to be done. I let them know of any problems I knew of with it. When asked why I was getting a new car, I told them I had thought it was time, and I had a job and budget to get one. I'd been thinking about it for a few years and finally decided I should just do it. They agreed and took it to a mechanic they trusted. He had to do about $540 worth of work on it for brakes, inspection, oil pan, and some other minor work. He said not to worry about the bill, he'd work it up later. My nephew was excited when we gave it to him when he was visiting on the weekend. So now he doesn't have to bum rides or take a bus. Well, a couple of months go by, and the mechanic finally gets around to making out the repair bill that, like I said, came out to $540. Well, my brother now wants me to pay the bill and says I should have paid for all the work before I even gave it to my nephew. My response was, I told you what condition I knew of about the car and that any repairs or transfer payments would be their responsibility. Now they are acting like I've cheated them somehow, when all I can think is that I gave them a car at no additional cost other than repairs, and somehow I'm the a-hole. What do you guys think? Should I have paid or chipped in on the repairs or what? Not the a-hole. You told them what the deal was. They accepted it. Now they want to change the rules. If they mention it again, politely tell them that if the repairs are too much, you'll gladly take the vehicle back. But those are the options. Either shut up and pay the bill or give it back. Not the a-hole. Talk about ungrateful. You were clear about it. It's your nephew's car and his responsibility. He must pay. If they can't handle that, give them the money and take the car back. Not the a-hole. You explained to them everything, and then the uncle said he had it handled. Now he's backtracking. I don't know much about car stuff, but I do know that giving a car as a gift, telling them everything, and then them proceeding to get work done means the car was given and accepted as is. So they're responsible for paying the bill. Edit. My nephew is pretty freaking awesome and is the only reason I'm not demanding the car back. He's super grateful about it and would pay for it, but his father said that he'd take care of it and not to worry. So he doesn't know any of this is happening, and he wouldn't go against his father anyways. The only one that's causing any kind of fuss is my brother, his father. The mother is upset because she agrees with what everyone has said so far, but my brother has an attitude problem about the strangest things, and she wants to pay for it to avoid any family fighting or drama. I've told her don't do it, but I'm assuming she will behind my back, just to keep my brother happy. Edit 2. By the time the car was taken to the mechanic, the car was completely in their name. Not sure if nephews or brothers. Title and all, as far as the DMV was concerned, the car was the property of my nephew. Also, I was accused of not telling them anything that was wrong with the car. I told him that I told them everything that I knew of at the time, and when they took it to a mechanic, there may be more wrong with it, since I'm not a mechanic myself. I, female 18, got into an argument with my parents and sister yesterday. It ended with me yelling at my sister that I am worth more and that she is useless, and she ran into her room crying. My parents were so mad at me. My sister was always the favorite child. She was diagnosed with depression and a few other things at the age of 16. Her life was hard, so my parents always drew all their attention to her, driving her around, buying her everything, letting her go out and blaming me for everything she breaks, which often sounds like, it's your fault that she broke your shutters. Why do you need to have them down? That was on a very hot day, and my sister literally played with it to annoy me till it broke. Even when I told her that she should stop because it's gonna break. But most important, they freed her from every chores forever. I felt left out, and I had a lot more work to do. I have school from 7:45 a.m. to 5:15 p.m. almost every day except for Wednesday, 9:40 a.m. to 1 p.m. I also had a lot of homework, presentations, or had to learn for exams. I couldn't keep up with the chores, and my parents just insisted on me doing them. I would have to feed the pets either before school or in my lunch break, and we have a lot of pets. Chickens, rabbits, one dog, fish, birds, hamsters, and mice. After school, I would have to stay up late to finish the chores around the house and do my homework. I was tired almost every morning. While my sister was doing nothing, she dropped out of school and is still living with our parents. I hate my family, and I plan to move out as soon as I can, so I decided to make some money to rent an apartment. I applied to a local bio shop and got accepted. I will work there on Wednesdays and Saturdays. Today, I told my family at dinner, because I can't do without them knowing since they would wonder where I am. Suddenly, my mother's eyes were sparkling and she put on a big smile. Then she turned to my sister and said, "That's great. Now we can finally get more money to buy your first own apartment." My blood was boiling. I said that I'm going to save it until I can buy or rent myself my own first apartment. Then my mother told me that my sister is older than me and she will come first, and that I should help her out since she's not able to work. 1. How would my sister, who never did anything in the household, be able to live alone? 2. She can work. She just doesn't want to since my parents always treated her like a queen. I said to my sister, "I will never support you. You are useless and you don't even know anything. You can't cook and don't work. You are just expensive and a waste of money. I am worth way more than you." I was enraged and it was not nice, but I couldn't control it. I finally told her just a tiny bit of what I really want to tell her, and it felt great. Am I the a-hole for that? Your parents are the reason your sister is incapable of doing anything for herself. They coddled her and never made her responsible for anything she's done growing up. I don't think it's her fault though, as she's never been taught better, as your parents sheltered her, I assume, her whole life. I can understand your resentment towards her, but you're the a-hole for saying those hurtful things to her. Your parents are the ones at fault here. Nah, not the a-hole. And I'll say that because people that treat you with contempt deserve contempt in return. You're 18. You can move out as soon as you can afford it, and they literally can't prevent you. And you don't have to give your sister anything, and I absolutely wouldn't. Now, do your actions reconcile your relationship with the mom and sister? No, but that doesn't sound like it's your goal. Not the a-hole. Holy crap. What culture do you live in where you getting a part-time job means your sister can get an apartment? That is absolutely outrageous. Make sure that you have your own bank account that your parents can't get to. Do not leave the money at home. Me and my sister live in the U.S., while our elderly parents are in Sweden. Mom is getting a hysterectomy next week. She'll have to stay in the hospital. During that time, my dad will be alone at home. When our parents are together, they're fine, but Dad has MCI and heart problems, which makes it difficult for him to stay alone. We don't have any other family living in Sweden who's capable of looking after Mom and Dad for a few days. I would have no issues dropping everything and going, but I have a month-old newborn. I can't go without him, and then I'll be spending more time looking after him than actually my parents. My sister has 19 and 16-year-old daughters, so they're older. Also, I want to add here, me and my sister both have a very good relationship with our parents, and it's not like she has issues with mom and dad. It's also not a money issue. This is purely her being stubborn. Mom said none of us need to go, and they can handle everything with a hired carer. But we don't know what the carer will be like, and I'd feel much more comfortable and not having to worry constantly if one of us is there. Since it's not possible for me to go, me and my sister were discussing about her going for a few days. I said I'll pay for her flight if she wants, and it's not for long. She refused to go. My 19-year-old niece is sick, and my sister said she wants to stay with her, and she, sister, will keep regular contact with the carer, but she can't go. I asked her to reconsider, and I get where she's coming from, but my niece isn't a young child, while our parents are elderly, and she'll have her dad, my brother-in-law, with her. My sister still said no. I told her she doesn't give a crap about any of us and is more focused on helicopter parenting her daughter. My sister got really mad for saying that and essentially told me to duck off. This happened about a week ago, and we haven't talked since then. Am I the a-hole? You're the a-hole. Her daughter is sick, and your mom says she doesn't need to come. Why does your opinion count for more than your mom's and sister's in this situation? Taking care of a sick child, even an adult child, is not helicopter parenting. It's just parenting. You're the a-hole. You're the only one making this such a big deal. Your parents are fine. They told you nobody needs to come down there, and they will have help. You immediately tried to make your sister feel guilty by insinuating that she doesn't care about y'all because she wants to take care of her daughter, and then wrongfully used the term helicopter parent. You're right though. Her daughter isn't a child, and neither are your parents. Not the a-hole. I agree with OP that daughter is 19, and she has a father to look after her if she needs it, and parents are elderly, and every surgery at that age is a risk. I think in this case, parents should be a priority. 19 years old is not a child and can take care of herself.